All right, I am live. So, I'm going to show you this morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, it's early. And I probably won't be here for this whole thing right away. I gotta go make some coffee. But I just wanted to come on here because in a minute and 17 seconds, let's get you over to the desktop. This is happening. Port relocation of SpaceX Crew Dragon on the International Space Station. The point being, sorry, I'm adjusting some things. The point is that there's a dragon in heaven. And I'll actually take a second here to explain. I'll go full screen as soon as, or maybe I'll leave it there. Hey, Michael J. Spencer, good to see you. The reason why this is important is because it's in the Bible. And, oops. Okay, NASA's starting, it looks like. I will probably leave it on this screen. Let me turn this down a little bit. I'll probably leave it on this screen that you guys are seeing now. And so you guys can see the NASA chat. Hey, Tony's Coffee House, what's up? Good morning. Okay, so what they're going to do, I saw that as long as it says Coffee House, I pretty much know that it's you, Anthony. So here's what the description of this video says. It says they are going to move it from one docking port to a different one. The point of this video is to show that we don't need to interpret something in the Bible when it is happening in reality before our eyes. It is an observation, not an interpretation. I'm being very clear about this because it is happening whether we agree with it or not. There's a dragon flying up there. John saw a dragon flying up there. So I'm going to zip my lip and I'll come back in a little bit.
Good morning. It's Monday, April 5th. I'm NASA's Leah Cheshire. You're looking at a live view of the Dragon Resilience spacecraft as we await its departure from one docking port on the International Space Station to another in what we refer to as a port relocation. Dragon will be moving from International Docking Adapter 2, or IDA-2, on the Forward Harmony port to IDA-3 on the Zenith, or Space-Facing Harmony port, in order to prepare for the arrival of a new crew and the upcoming delivery of new solar arrays this summer. We expect Dragon to push away from the space station with NASA astronauts Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Soichi Noguchi.
Megan, for the lighting and the MPEG streamer for whatever camera you guys are streaming, and then also visually, because it's dark, it's going to be close to impossible to verify visual separation. I can do this by usually interpolating where the lit windows are.
Sorry, I'm messing with my mic real quick.
But I don't have actual visual on the camera, and you guys probably don't either, to the docking interface separation from the vehicle. Copy all, Kate. We don't have actual visual on the camera, and you guys probably don't either, to the docking interface separation from the vehicle. Copy all, Kate. We do anticipate that during separation it will be daylight, so your visual should be better by then. All right, thank you. Good to know.
Teams on the ground communicating with Kate Rubens aboard the International Space Station, who will be monitoring today's undocking from the station side. But these four astronauts, Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Soichi Noguchi, are on board the Crew Dragon and will depart at 5:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 GMT. Joining me from SpaceX in Hawthorne this morning to walk you through everything is Andy Tran. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Leah, and good morning to everyone. I'm Andy Tran here from SpaceX. It is an exciting morning. This will be the first port relocation of a Crew Dragon spacecraft. At this point, the crew is suited. Both the Dragon and APAS hatches have been closed, and the vestibule leak checks are almost complete. There are 4 seats configured right now inside of Dragon and are numbered 1 to 4 from right to left. When looking at the seats, Mike is in seat number 2, or the commander seat. He is the person closest to the camera on screen right now. And Victor is beside him in seat number 3, which for Crew Dragon is the pilot seat. Soichi is in seat number 1, and Shannon is in seat 4. We are waiting for a go, no-go for departure, which we are expecting at 5:15 a.m. Central Time or 10:15 GMT. Once Dragon pushes away from the station, the full maneuver will last approximately 45 minutes. And while Dragon is just moving parking spots, the crew and vehicle have undergone all of the same checkouts and preparations as if they were getting ready to return to Earth. That way, in the unlikely event that we see an off-nominal scenario, the crew and vehicle are prepared to deorbit and return safely home.
Before we go into greater detail on what's involved in the port relocation process, everything has moved very smoothly this morning, so let's recap what's already happened. The crew woke up at 1 Central Time, 6 GMT, and you're seeing right now a live view inside SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne, California. We're in a current satellite handover with our TDRS, our tracking data and relay satellite systems. These are tracked and monitored, and we expect to regain communications with the station and Crew Dragon shortly. But more about what the crew members have been up to so far this morning. At 2:55 Central, 7:55 GMT, crew members Shannon Walker and Soichi Noguchi suited up before boarding Crew Dragon, while Victor Glover and Mike Hopkins waited until they finished closing Dragon's hatch before donning their suits. At 3:10, the 4 astronauts boarded Dragon for the port relocation maneuver, and at 3:26 Central, 8:26 GMT, the crew closed Dragon's hatch. Hopkins and Glover then put on those SpaceX spacesuits, which will be worn throughout today's maneuver. Once they finished suiting up, all 4 crew members performed leak checks on their suits. Once Dragon's hatch was closed, Kate Rubins affixed a docking target to the outside of the APAS hatch and then closed it, creating a space between Dragon and station known as the vestibule. Kate then made her way out of the pressurized mating adapter, leaving the forward hatch on node 2 open but ensuring the zenith hatch is closed. She'll monitor the relocate maneuver from the cupola. Once all hatches were closed, a ground command was sent to open valves on the Dragon to begin depressurizing the vestibule at 3:57 Central, 8:57 GMT. This essentially vents the air from inside and brings it down close to a vacuum. They paused at approximately 5 psi for a few minutes to allow temperatures inside the vestibule to stabilize before continuing with that depressurization.
And that brings us up to speed with the events of the day. From this point forward, here is what to expect. At 5:15 Central Time or 10:15 GMT, teams in Mission Control Houston and Mission Control at SpaceX in Hawthorne do a joint go, no-go for undocking. About 10 minutes later, a undocking command will be sent, followed by a few minutes for the 2 umbilicals that connect power and data between the 2 spacecraft to detach, and for 12 hooks holding Dragon in place to retract. At 5:30 Central Time, after the hooks have retracted, Dragon will fire its thrusters in 2 short bursts to break the stiction between it and the docking port and physically separate from the station. Dragon will begin to slowly back off from the station and activate its LiDAR, and that happens in that blue section that you see on screen right now. LiDAR stands for Light Detection and Ranging, and it helps to begin tracking the space station. Once it acquires a solid signal, the ground will command Dragon to hold approximately 60 meters away from the station. And once everything looks good, Dragon will begin to move from in front of the station to above it, and that is the relocation maneuver or transition maneuver in the orange portion of the graphic that you see on screen. At about 5:38 Central Time, Dragon begins its maneuver towards the zenith port of Harmony and International Docking Adapter number 3. We expect Dragon to take about 15 minutes to make the trip above the station with a check-in halfway at what you'll hear called the midpoint. It will stop and hold once it's 60 meters above the Node 2 zenith port and prepare for final approach in that purple section.
And once we reach that area, flight controllers in Hawthorne will once again command Dragon to begin its approach, flying in until it reaches waypoint 2, which is just 20 meters away from the station. Once Dragon reaches 20 meters, it will hold one final time for teams on the ground and the astronauts aboard Dragon to do a final check before docking. If everything continues to go on schedule today, we expect to see that around 6:07 Central, 11:07 GMT. There aren't any strict requirements to complete docking during a day or night pass, but there's always the chance this hold could continue until the lighting conditions on the docking port are ideal. And once ready, Dragon will begin that final approach. Dragon will make initial contact with IDA-3 and its soft capture system will retract to bring the Dragon spacecraft in closer for hard capture. That's accomplished by deploying 12 hooks to firmly hold Dragon in place and takes about 15 minutes. After that, we will wrap up our coverage for the day.
After all docking events are successful, flight controllers will configure Dragon for docked operations, connecting power and data to the spacecraft once more. The crew will be able to get out of their spacesuits and set them up to dry and begin operations to get the hatches back open. This includes pressurizing the vestibule and a new round of leak checks. Depending on the exact timing, they have the option to have lunch inside Dragon or wait until back aboard the station. And we expect it to take about 2 hours before the hatches open, around 8:30 Central Time or 13:30 GMT.
Today marks the 140th day on station for this crew, who lifted off from Kennedy Space Center on November 15th at 7:49 p.m. Eastern. Following a 27.5-hour trip to the station, Dragon's hatch was opened around 4 a.m. Eastern on November 16th. So far, the crew members have dedicated hundreds of hours to scientific research in the orbiting laboratory and have completed 5 spacewalks, finishing battery upgrades, connecting the Bartolomeo Science Platform, and preparing the station for new solar arrays that will launch later this year on the SpaceX Cargo Dragon spacecraft. This is the first of 6 certified crew missions NASA and SpaceX planned as a part of the agency's commercial crew program.
As mentioned earlier, the relocation will free up Harmony's forward port for docking of another Crew Dragon vehicle set to carry 4 crew members to the station on NASA's SpaceX Crew 2 mission. NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur, JAXA astronauts Aki Hoshide, and European Space Agency astronaut Thomas Pesquet are scheduled to launch to the station Thursday, April 22nd, which just also happens to be Earth Day. They would arrive and dock to the station about 1 day after liftoff.
When the Crew 1 astronauts depart the station for return to Earth, which is currently targeted for April 28, the space-facing port of Harmony will be vacant. A Dragon cargo spacecraft carrying several tons of supplies and the first set of new solar arrays for the space station is scheduled to launch this summer and requires the space-facing port position to enable robotic extraction of the arrays from Dragon's trunk using Canadarm2.
For those just joining us, we are currently waiting the go, no-go call for departure of the Dragon Resilience spacecraft to push itself away from the International Space Station. We are expecting SpaceX and NASA to make that call around 5:15 a.m. Central Time. On screen right now is that Dragon Resilience spacecraft connected to International Docking Adapter 2. Once Dragon undocks, it will undergo an approximately 45-minute maneuver from one port to another. And while Dragon is a fully autonomous vehicle and can perform this port relocation maneuver all on its own, today our crew will be initiating a couple of commands along the way on those displays that were previously on screen. There are no technical reasons why the crew has to command anything, but the crew wanted to basically test drive the vehicle today, so to speak. The plan for future flights is that ground will send all of the commands and crew will just be monitoring Dragon's progress along the way. So for the maneuver today, you'll hear a couple of calls from the core in Hawthorne to the crew, giving them a go to send several commands, permitting Dragon to move through different checkpoints. Again, we are about 3 minutes away from the expected call from SpaceX and NASA for departure of Dragon Resilience spacecraft.
And good news here in Houston, the team in Mission Control Houston for the International Space Station is go.
On the big loop. Final reconfigurations for undock are complete and nominal. The ground is go for undocking at the targeted undock sequence start time of 1025 UTC. Please confirm your visors are down and you are ready for undock and port relocation at the planned time.
And SpaceX from Dragon, copy, go for the undock. Visors are secure and closed.
Copy on.
Station Houston 2 for Kate. Perform steps 2 through end in 1.602. Dragon departure monitoring.
Copy steps 2 through N in 1.602. Dragon departure monitoring. ISS crew is ready for Dragon undocking at 1025.
Copy all.
That's good news from the ground side here today. Both SpaceX and Mission Control Houston teams reporting that they are go for today's undock and that everything looks good with the systems aboard Crew Dragon and the International Space Station for a successful maneuver. Things continue to move along right on time, and we expect to see that departure beginning at 5:30 a.m. Central.
Preparation for this port relocation has taken place for weeks, but yesterday teams checked out Dragon systems preparing for today's departure, including the common communications for visiting vehicle systems, or C2V2, a data stream from Crew Dragon to the station. At around 5:20 a.m. Central Time, we are expecting the call for vestibule depress to be completed just a few minutes from now. And SpaceX performed a checkout of Dragon's propulsion systems and guidance navigation control, as well as checked out the Crew Dragon's seat actuators. In the afternoon, the SpaceX team tested the tracking data and relay satellite system, or TDRS, on the spacecraft, and that allows space-to-ground communication.
A little more about the preparations prior to today. Yesterday, Shannon Walker also spent some time removing computers from Dragon that have been stored in the spacecraft but are used on the station. Soichi Noguchi continued that work this morning, and prior to boarding Crew Dragon, Glover and Walker worked to remove any emergency hardware inside Crew Dragon, transferring that to the station side. Mike Hopkins, of course, packed away the sleep station where he has been staying inside Crew Dragon during its journey to the space station. As you can see, it is daylight outside the space station. It moves at approximately 17,500 miles around the Earth, meaning it sees a sunrise or a sunset every 45 minutes. And as we heard the Capcom discussing with Kate Rubens, they expect the undocking to occur in daylight, so we should get some good views here of Crew Dragon departing IDA-2.
For those just joining us, we are just beginning the mission, so to speak, of the Crew Dragon relocation from International Docking Adapter 2 to the space-facing port International Docking Adapter 3 to make room for the next crew vehicle that will be launched. We're targeting April 22nd. And just a few minutes ago, we got the confirmation for a go of undocking And as Leah mentioned, we're expecting that to happen in a few minutes here.
April is quite a busy month aboard the International Space Station. Coming up this Friday, we have the next launch to the station. That's Soyuz MS-18 with one NASA astronaut, Mark Vande Hei, and two Roscosmos cosmonauts, Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov, heading toward the International Space Station. And once they arrive, we will have 10 crew members on the station. That won't be for too long, though, because on April 16th, Kate Rubins, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Sergei Kutsverchkov will depart aboard their Soyuz MS-17. However, on April 22nd, Crew 2 will launch. That's Megan MacArthur, Shane Kimbrough, Thomas Pesquet, and Akihiko Hoshide. And then on April 28th, Crew 1, the crew that we are watching today on board Crew Dragon, will depart the space station, but this time for Earth. That's Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi. However, today is just a field trip outside the orbiting laboratory, moving from one parking spot to another to allow for Crew 2 to arrive on April 22nd, as well as that Crew Cargo Dragon to arrive later this year with those solar arrays.
And on screen right now is a view of the crew inside of Dragon and the displays. Again, they'll be sending a few commands today during the port relocation. And there's Dragon attached to International Docking Adapter 2. A little bit about the upgraded Dragon vehicle. Dragon 1 to dock required berthing, and berthing is where the International Space Station will sort of send out a robotic arm and grab the previous edition of Dragon and connect it with the ISS. Dragon 2, the vehicle that you see on screen, can do autonomous docking all on its own and will not require berthing or that robotic arm from the International Space Station.
The technology we have now with this autonomous docking aboard Crew Dragon has been implemented in the new version of Cargo Dragon, which we mentioned will be arriving later this year with those solar arrays. The International Space Station is currently flying 268 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean to the east of Uruguay.
We're about 5 minutes away from Dragon's hooks to start opening up and sort of the initiation sequence of undocking from Dragon from the International Space Station. We are expecting a call out for vestibule to press complete here any moment now.
We've been discussing that undocking. We expect to see that around 5:30, but the command being sent a few minutes early because it takes a few minutes for those hooks to unlatch from the International Space Station, as well as the retraction of the umbilical, which provides power and data from the space station to Crew Dragon.
The entire maneuver today from undocking to redocking on the new port, we're expecting to take approximately 45 minutes. Again, this is to make room for the new Dragon that is being launched on Earth Day this year, April 22nd.
Undocking in Crew Dragon looks a little bit different than undocking in a Soyuz spacecraft. There are no springs that push the vehicle away from the space station, so instead we'll see the vehicle fire 2 short burns from those service section Draco thrusters, and that will break any stiction between Crew Dragon and the space station. You can see the nose cone open on Crew Dragon right now. There are also some forward bulkhead thrusters that live underneath the nose cone, but of course we won't be using those today. These service section Dracos are used for maneuvers when we are around the International Space Station and need to be very careful of Dragon's position.
We're about a minute away from the expected command to open up Dragon's hooks at approximately 5:25 a.m. Central Time. During this stage, we'll have the umbilicals retract away. Those are what send power and Dragon send power and data to the Dragon. And for the hooks, we have 12 hooks in total. They're made up of 2 sets of 6s.
This view over the shoulders of Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover as they look at the displays on Crew Dragon. As we've mentioned, this is an autonomous vehicle, and so there will be a few commands sent by the crew today, but Kate Rubins is monitoring from the space station.
On the big loop, undock sequence commanded.
And copy, see the same.
And right on time at 5:25 a.m. Central, we have confirmation that the undock sequence has begun, that command being sent to Crew Dragon to begin opening up those hooks.
And just prior to this, the vestibule depress did complete. We didn't hear a call out, but the vestibule is the space between Dragon and station hatches that will be exposed.
Umbilical demate completed nominal.
You heard the call that the umbilicals are starting to retract. The vestibule is the space between Dragon and station hatches that will be exposed to the vacuum of space following undocking. Ground controllers command Dragon to begin to depress, opening a valve on the Dragon side to slowly remove the air from the vestibule. Once completed, the teams then execute leak checks on Dragon and station to ensure both sides are airtight prior to the undocking command that was just sent. And we reverse this process once Dragon is docked, taking air from the station and pressurizing the vestibule before hatches are reopened.
Things continuing smoothly for Crew Dragon. We heard that the umbilical had successfully retracted, and now the hooks are opening. There are 2 sets of 6, meaning 12 hooks in total, and we are watching those hooks retract Hearing nominal calls here on the ground, meaning everything is looking good.
And on screen is the Dragon resilient spacecraft. Dragon is comprised of two parts. The right-hand side, the
big loop, first set of hooks open and nominal.
Continuing to hear good news. The first set of hooks has opened up nominally. The conical section, the right-hand side of Dragon, that is where the crew is at. That is the capsule portion of the Dragon vehicle. On the left-hand side, the left half is the trunk section. You'll notice that the top half is black. Those are solar panels built into the trunk. If you've been following the Dragon program, you'll know that the Dragon 1 configuration had solar arrays that would deploy post liftoff, but this was one of the upgrades to the Dragon vehicle.
In that trunk portion, there can be unpressurized cargo delivered to station. And as we mentioned, the spacecraft itself on the right, Crew Dragon, is the only piece that returns to Earth. That trunk is jettisoned prior to the astronauts re-entering Earth's atmosphere, and that burns up harmlessly over the ocean. However, Crew Dragon itself splashes down. Second set of hooks continues to open, and we will be watching for physical movement and physical separation of the Crew Dragon vehicle from the International Space Station shortly.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, all hooks open and nominal.
And you can see on screen, Dragon resilient spacecraft has undocked from the International Space Station at 3:30.
Dragon separation confirmed.
And what a view to see at 3:30. Dragon spacecraft has undocked from the International Space Station at approximately 3:30 Central Time, just off the coast of West Africa or Liberia. So we had a couple of undocking burns. The first burn lasted about
on the big loop, relocate, burn 0, complete and nominal.
We had a couple of burns. The first undocking burn was about a second and a half, and the second burn lasted for about 5 seconds. And
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, we see the same.
And you heard the call out just a few seconds ago for the relocation burn 0, and that lasted about 21 seconds. Again, we did get confirmation of undocking at 5:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 GMT, while the station and Dragon were flying 263 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean to the south of Liberia.
Everything
Dragon used... Sorry, Leah, go ahead.
Thanks. Everything continuing well for Dragon on its maneuver.
2 minutes. Source slot 4, enable. ISS thrusters enabled.
Copy and concur.
And now about 2 minutes into this relocation, which we expect to last about 45 minutes, Crew Dragon continues to back away from its former home on International Docking Adapter 2.
And as it backs up, it is working to acquire LiDAR tracking, which will be used by Dragon to autonomously execute the relocation maneuver. And there's a view from Dragon looking and trying to acquire LiDAR from the International Space Station. We're expecting to go straight back about 60 meters.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. We are about to command a hold.
Dragon.
Now, if we do go past 60-meter mark, it will approach back to that distance before the relocation maneuver that will bring Dragon above the station to the new docking access, right above the Zenith port.
As Andy mentioned, it has now made it to 83 meters and will move back into 60 meters before maneuvering to bring Dragon above the station.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground has confirmed good relative navigation performance. You are go to command go to relocate, and you are go to raise your visors as well.
And copies go to relocate inward.
Just heard the crew operations and resources engineer, we also refer to them as core, talking to the astronauts, allowing them to begin relocation to the new docking access.
Crew Dragon continues to hold at that 83-meter mark, but will begin moving soon. However, all of this is taking place today inside the keep-out sphere. That's the 200-meter invisible line around station. That's one of the ways we monitor vehicles as they arrive and depart at the International Space Station.
Dragon, you can see if you look closely, it's getting closer to the International Space Station. We are targeting moving back from 83 meters to 60 meters before we begin to make that transition upwards to the new docking access.
As you can see, Crew Dragon is still in line with that forward-facing port, and when it relocates, it will be above the International Space Station and dock to the Zenith, or space-facing port. Crew Dragon continuing to move in slowly, just under 75 meters now, away from the International Space Station.
Right at the center of Dragon, there is a centerline camera, and that is what Dragon is using to line up with the port of the International Space Station. We are 68 meters away, again targeting that 60-meter mark before we start to transition upward to the new docking port.
We just got a view of the Earth below Crew Dragon and the International Space Station. They were flying 262 statute miles over Mali.
For those just joining, Crew Dragon undocked about 8 minutes ago at 5:30 Central Time. This is the first port relocation of a Crew Dragon vehicle ever. And right now we're waiting to get inside that 60-meter range from the International Space Station before we begin to transition upward.
And it looks like we're getting very close, just about 61 meters away from the station, so we should expect to hear that 60-meter call shortly. Crew Dragon is at that 60-meter mark. Teams on the ground checking to make sure we are go for that translational maneuver.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. You are go to command relocate transfer to begin the access translation. Reminder that soft capture ring deploy will begin in relocate to access.
Copies, go to relocate transfer in work.
Station Houston on 2 for Kate. Monitor per block Delta. Step 3 in 1.602. Dragon departure monitoring.
Copy 1.602. Block Delta, Step 3 monitoring.
As you can see, Crew Dragon has begun that transfer maneuver and will be moving up to the midpoint. They'll get another go there to continue the maneuver before moving directly above the IDA-3 or International Docking Adapter 3 on the Zenith or space-facing port on the Harmony module.
We are expecting this relocation maneuver from one axis to the other to take approximately 15 minutes, with reaching the midpoint halfway between that time.
This is Crew 1 and the first ever port location of a Crew Dragon. There have been a lot of firsts on this mission, and just a look at who is on board the spacecraft today, starting with Crew Dragon Commander Mike Hopkins. He was born in Lebanon, Missouri, but grew up outside Richland. Selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2009 and is a colonel in the U.S. Space Force. He holds degrees in aerospace engineering. Hopkins previously flew on the Russian Soyuz as a member of the Expedition 37 and 38 crew, and his military experience includes testing C-17 and C-130 aircraft. This year, he's completed 3 spacewalks during the mission to prepare the station for new solar arrays that will arrive on a cargo Dragon later this year, as well as complete other station upgrades.
Next up, as part of the crew, is pilot Victor Glover. He is a native of Pomona, California, and was selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2013. Glover is a commander in the United States Navy. He holds degrees in general engineering, flight test engineering, systems engineering, and military operational art and science. He has extensive military test flight experience, was a test pilot for the FA-18 Hornet, the Super Hornet, and the EA-18G Growler. He has accumulated 3,000 flight hours in more than 40 aircraft and over 400 carrier arrest landings and 24 combat missions. The Crew 1 mission has been Glover's first spaceflight. He's also completed 3 spacewalks this year, servicing the station's cooling system, installing the final lithium-ion battery for station upgrades, and preparing the orbiting lab for new solar arrays.
Things still moving smoothly for Crew Dragon as it makes its way to the next axis, moving from in front of the IDA, or International Docking Adapter 2, to the Zenith port on the Harmony module, or IDA 3. You can see that perspective start to shift just a little bit. Also on board Crew Dragon today is mission specialist Shannon Walker from Houston, Texas. She was selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2004 and is a doctor of philosophy in space physics. Walker previously flew on the Russian Soyuz as a flight engineer for Expedition 2425 in space for 163 days. She's also one of only a few dozen people to be both an astronaut and an aquanaut, having spent 13 days underwater during NASA's Extreme Environments Mission Operations 15, or NEMO 15. And during that mission, she lived inside the world's only research station beneath the ocean surface. This view inside Mission Control Houston, where NASA teams are monitoring the relocation of Crew Dragon and the systems aboard the International Space Station. We're currently in another satellite handover, and we should regain video and communications with the spacecraft shortly.
On screen right now is Mission Control at SpaceX Hawthorne. The last member on board Dragon today is mission specialist Soichi Noguchi from Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. He was selected as an astronaut by Japan in 1996, has degrees in aeronautical engineering, and is a doctor of philosophy in advanced interdisciplinary studies. He previously flew on STS-114 on the Space Shuttle Discovery and on the Russian Soyuz as a member of the Expedition 2223 crew. While on STS-114, he became the first Japanese astronaut to perform spacewalks on the International Space Station, completing 3 spacewalks totaling 20 hours. Noguchi is only one of 3 people to have flown on 3 different spacecraft, the Space Shuttle, a Russian Soyuz, and now a Crew Dragon.
Crew Dragon continues making its axis transition from in front of the IDA-2 to IDA-3, things moving smoothly and about 57 meters away from the space station.
both Crew Dragon and the International Space Station are currently still orbiting over the Earth. They're right over the Black Sea right now. Again, we are expecting to reach that midpoint between the two docking axes here in a few minutes.
And a reminder today, if you're just joining us, of why this port relocation is happening. In just a few weeks, we expect to see Crew 2, the second Crew Dragon long-duration mission, launched to the International Space Station, and they will be docking to the port that was just vacated by Crew 1 aboard Crew Dragon Resilience. And after the departure of Crew 1 for Earth later this month, we also will see the arrival of a cargo Dragon later this summer, bringing new solar arrays to the station. And that zenith, or space-facing port, is the proper position for those solar arrays to be extracted from Dragon's trunk. Undocking occurred right on time today at 5:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 GMT. Things continue to move smoothly, and we expect to see Dragon make contact with the station once again around 6:15 Central. Coming up shortly, we will reach the midpoint in that axis transition.
At the very top of your screen, you can see the new parking spot for Crew 1. That is the Zenith port. And Dragon again continues to make its way towards that docking access.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Midpoint has been reached.
Dragon copies, we see the same, and we see self-capture ring deploy started.
And a big milestone, you just heard the call out that we have reached the midpoint between the two docking axes. A little bit of what's to come. Dragon will continue its transition maneuver to the Zenith port docking axis. Hold for LiDAR confirmation, and then start making its way towards waypoint 2, which is approximately 20 meters away from the International Space Station. From there, we'll resume docking and final approach with a soft capture, then eventually a hard capture. We're expecting docking to be completed at approximately 6:30 Central Time, 6:30 a.m. Central Time.
There is a soft capture ring on Crew Dragon, and once there is contact between the spacecraft and the International Space Station, that soft capture ring will retract until sensors indicate it's time for hooks to drive and create the hard capture that we'll be looking for around 6:30. That firmly secures Dragon to station. We've mentioned NASA astronaut Kate Rubins is monitoring this maneuver from inside the International Space Station, sending no commands, but watching on from the cupola. There are currently 7 people living on the International Space Station, Kate Rubins, as well as our 4 astronauts we have on Crew Dragon today, Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi, as well as 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts inside the station, Sergei Ryzhikov and Sergei Kutsverchkov.
Again, there's a view of both the ports. The bottom port is International Docking Adapter 2, where Dragon Resilient spacecraft just undocked from. International IDA-2 was launched on CRS-9 in July of 2016 and attached to the International Space Station in August of that year. First docking on IDA-2 was done on Crew Dragon's Demo 1 mission in March of 2019. And where that blue crosshair is at, that is International Docking Adapter 3. That is our target destination for the Crew Dragon vehicle today. IDA-3 is new. It launched in July of 2019 and attached to the International Space Station August of the same year. First docking on IDA-3 was done on mission CRS-21 in December 2020.
The International Space Station currently flying 264 statute miles over Kazakhstan. As we mentioned, there is a launch coming up this Friday, and that is where the rocket will lift off from, carrying Mark Vande Hei of NASA, Oleg Novitsky of Russia, as well as Pyotr Dubrov of Russia as well. The next major call we can expect to hear is that Crew Dragon has arrived at the docking axis directly above that IDA-3. Great view from the Dragon itself right now. The vehicle is 56 meters away, and we'll be looking for it to arrive around 60 meters. However, they do not necessarily have to complete a hold at that docking axis. They may move very quickly directly to waypoint 2, that 20-meter mark away from the International Space Station. We also have confirmation that the soft docking ring is fully deployed. We mentioned that will come in contact with the International Space Station, and the sensor will retract until the sensors indicate those hooks are ready to drive and create that firm seal.
And just some phenomenal views of the transition maneuver and Crew Dragon today. Got about 11 minutes left of sunlight.
The astronauts aboard Crew Dragon are remaining in their seats and in their suits for today's maneuver. After launch and on the ride home. Sometimes they have the opportunity to get out of their seats and suits. However, because there is so much dynamic activity happening in this relatively short maneuver, about 45 minutes, the crew members will remain seated and suited for today's mission.
We are just under 2 minutes from being lined up with that new Zenith docking access. From there, we'll await the go to approach waypoint 2. Again, that is 20 meters away from the station.
There will be a hold conducted at waypoint 2. At 20 meters, that'll be for final alignment and checkout of Dragon, as well as checking any lighting conditions and confirming that all teams on the ground are ready for final approach.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Dragon has arrived at the second 60-meter hold point. Dragon is configured for docking. The ground is go for a continued approach, and when you are ready, you are go to command resume to approach to waypoint 2.
Dragon copies. We're at the 60-meter hold on the docking axis. Ground is go for resuming the approach, and we have to go when we're ready.
Read back.
Station Houston on space to ground 2 for Kate.
SpaceX Dragon, we've commanded the resume.
And Dragon SpaceX, we see it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Hopper.
And Kate approaches resuming to waypoint 2. Monitor per step 2 in 1.104. Crew Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
And 1.104.
Right on the timeline, Crew Dragon moving in toward waypoint 2, 20 meters above IDA 3 on the International Space Station.
And it'll take about 5 minutes to get to waypoint 2, about 20 meters away from the International Space Station. But for those that are just joining us, a summary of events so far. The Dragon resilient spacecraft successfully undocked from the International Space Station at 5:30 Central Time. It backed up and got LiDAR acquisition and completed its transition maneuver from the IDA-2 docking access to the IDA-3 docking access. You just heard the callouts that we are resuming approach towards waypoint 2.
Ground 2, ISS crew is ready. Procedure review complete. Docking ready from ISS.
Houston copies.
We started at 60 meters away, and we are currently at 40 meters away. And once we reach 20, we will hold for the go of final approach and dock.
As we heard them relay to teams on the ground, the crew is the one who sent the command for approach to waypoint 2 today. This can be a fully autonomous procedure. However, the crew is getting the chance to test out some of those features on Crew Dragon themselves.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. The ground is go for approach 2. Please confirm you are ready for final approach and your visors are down.
And copies in work. And Dragon, SpaceX from Dragon, visors are closed.
SpaceX copies, visors closed. We will be commanding the approach allow and resume shortly. As a reminder, once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Dragon.
Coming up on that 20-meter mark away from station at waypoint 2. Capcom relaying up information about the crew hands-off point.
Station Houston 2 for Kate. Monitor per steps 3 and 4.
From Dragon, we are go for approach 2.
We copy, go for approach 2.
And with that, Kate, you are go to monitor per steps
3 and 4.
Crews and teams giving their go for approach. As we were discussing that crew hands-off point or CHOP, you'll hear that call about 2 meters before contact, meaning if the vehicle needs to abort today's docking with the International Space Station, it can still occur, but will not be triggered by the crew and should be triggered by Dragon itself.
The final approach is going to take approximately 4 minutes. And if you look closely, you can see the Draco engines on the service section of Dragon becoming more and more active, making minor adjustments as we continue to approach the International Space Station.
Crew Dragon now 15 meters away from IDA-3. International Space Station and Crew Dragon recently crossed the Terminator line, that difference between day and night, and are currently flying 261 statute miles over South Korea.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, 10 meters.
And copies, we show 8 meters.
See the soft docking capture ring. Again, once we get around 2 meters, You should hear a call out for CHOP, which stands for Crew Hands Off Point. It means that any aborts initiated by Dragon needs to be initiated by Dragon after that point rather than by the crew.
Now just under 5 meters away from the International Space Station.
SpaceX on the big loop, 5 meters.
Meters, chop.
Dragon SpaceX soft capture confirmed.
Copies, you see the same.
And there we go. That's how that's done, I guess.
Soft capture confirmed of Crew 1 aboard SpaceX Crew Dragon Resilience to the International Docking Adapter 3.
Okay, so why did I even come on here live to show you this? Well, it's in the description of the video, and I'm going to read it really quick, just what I wrote. And then I'm going to talk about dreams and visions in the time we live in. That kind of rhymed. They're going to move it from one docking port to a different one. That's all they did. The point of this video is to show that we don't need to interpret something in the Bible when it is happening in reality before our eyes. We're watching on the screen right now a dragon flying in the sky. Flying in darkness, actually. But they're flying in the sky. So this is an observation, guys, not an interpretation. You don't need to interpret scriptures. When John said that he saw a dragon flying in heaven, I think whether you think I'm right or this idea is right or not, it doesn't matter. We're watching a dragon flying in heaven. And even if there's a lot of people that say, well, this is fake, this is cartoons. And I think that's a good stance to take too. Except the only thing is that it's real and it's going to make the sky roll back like a scroll and the whole world is going to change. So then that brings me to, that's what I said. It's an observation, not an interpretation. I'm trying to be clear about this because it's happening whether we agree with it or not. We just watched this happen. Captain Caveman, yes, 17,500 miles an hour or something like that. Scott Studo says, last night my girl had a dream. She never read Revelation, and she explained it to the whole earth turned flat, everything was on fire, and there were demons everywhere. I'm scared, and so was she. I just said, put your trust or your faith in Jesus. There's nothing to fear. And yes, the Bible says every valley will be filled, and every mountain and hill will be made low. And all flesh shall see the salvation of God. So that's awesome, I think. Then Scott says, how did she know she had a vision like Enoch? She never heard anything about Revelation. She said all the mountains came flat. She's crying right now. Well, let me show you some scriptures. Let's go to we're on my desktop. Let me just show you. It's in the book of Joel and in the book of Acts, where, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm not on the right page here. There we go. Okay, let's look at Joel 2, because it talks about people like your girl having dreams. It actually specifically talks about it. It's quite amazing. And Jamie Morton, I like that question. I'll answer it in just a minute. Let's just look at this, because this is what I like about believing what it says in this book. Okay, look right here in verse 30. Are you guys seeing my screen? Let me double check. Okay, yes, you're seeing my screen. Okay, right here in verse 30, I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to start earlier than that. Okay, I'll start in verse 27. So this is going to explain why people might have scary dreams of realistic things. And I've had a few dreams, and sometimes they stand out as being real. You know that you're dreaming because you just woke up in your bed and you were sleeping, but it during the dream it doesn't feel like a dream. It feels like you're being shown something that's real. But this explains it. We'll start verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. Okay, right here, Scott. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. I think that when we see dreams, especially when, like you were saying, the mountains becoming flat and demons everywhere and things on fire, that's what it says in Revelation is going to happen. And that's, like you said, you mentioned Enoch. Yeah, that's what it says. Yep. And here's what I'll just give you my my quick take on what I think this is going to look like is they're doing all these things like we just watched the dragon up there and all that. You know why all that's happening? The whole space exploration is happening because Jesus is coming. You got to look at the time. He was here 2,000 years ago. And he said that there would be a gospel being preached, a gospel of the kingdom being preached unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So he's telling us something's going to be preached before the end comes. So consider that. But I just think it's amazing when he says, and also, or it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Jamie Morton had a question, and also I just saw that you wrote 3 days of darkness. I don't think there's any 3 days of darkness really in the Bible, except for like in Egypt when there was darkness that could be felt. But as far as in Revelation or things that I would expect to happen, I don't see that anywhere. But Jamie said, when the sky rolls back, does that mean the firmament falls? Yes. And I don't really know what that looks like. I just know that all of the things that they have put up in the firmament, like the satellites and the space station, and anything that they've put up there, which we can see these things from the ground. If you go outside and look up at the sky for 5 minutes, you're going to see little lights moving across the sky in all different directions. Actually, maybe I can play a video showing that. I don't know if you guys have looked. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if you guys have looked at the night sky with, very closely since May of 2019 is kind of when it started to change a lot. The space station's been a light in the sky flying over for 20 years. But just in May of 2019, something changed. And I'm going to try to find a video of that so I can share with you guys what it's just video of the sky. And it's time-lapsed. And let me just see if I can find it. I can't even remember where I had it. Let's see, where was that? I'm looking. Ooh, maybe it's in this. I'm just gonna play this video. Maybe without sound. I'll play it with sound. Whoops, I got used to being able to comment when we were watching the NASA thing. I could comment, but I can't while I'm trying to play a video. So if you look at these stripes, I'm just going to play it without sound. If you look at the stripes in the sky, this is something. I'm going to try to fast forward just a little bit. This is something that's changed. You see how these lines, they weren't here before. That's what it looks like if you do slow motion, or I mean, if you do long exposure photography. Now, it doesn't look like that all the time, but if you get the right time, okay, there's that, I forgot what it was called, a comet or whatever, but that's how Starlink was going by it. You saw it kind of wave past the page. As it's there, right, there's another one. Okay, see that? Now, those are stripes rather than just dots of light, because that's how the photography works. But a lot of people... Oh, here we go. This is the night sky. This is what I was trying to find. You just see that things have changed. Let me make sure I don't have... Okay. It doesn't seem to be showing up anything very good. I don't have the best view myself. Oh, okay, I was explaining, in the video I was explaining the star trails, or what we can do with photography. That's what the sky does. Those are all angels flying around the throne of God. Good morning, Veronica, and anyone I might have missed. So... let me go a little further. I'm trying to fast forward just a little bit. I was just showing some star trails, and okay, and God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." So it's like a calendar. The sky, the sun, moon, and stars. That is how we get our seasons and our days and years or whatever. So then I said, this is a long exposure photography, and each one of those is a Starlink satellite flying by. That's how they fly by. It's one, then the next one, then the next one, then that's how it goes. But this is in the Bible. We were told about this before. Daniel told us about this. He said that there'd be someone trying to change times and laws. Well, that's what this is. So do you see what that does to the sky? That's like defiling what God made. And if you think about it, there's 7 wandering stars, those planets. God bound them in the blackness of darkness until judgment. They're imprisoned. The planets are in a dark prison. Here's another. This is also Starlink. And if you've ever seen this with your eyes, it's like intimidating. It's like weird. To watch it on the TV is not the same as seeing it fly right over you. So the planeo, Strong's 4105, is the root of the English term planet, wandering body, and it means to cause to wander, to deceive, error, seduce, wander, as in to cause to go astray, to go off course. So these are what the planets are. They're deceivers. And let's see here. Tony's Coffee House puts Acts 2, verse 20. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before that great and notable day of the Lord come. So there's another, there's more Starlink satellites up there. That's what they look like. Like, that's actually video of them. They're just little dots flying by. But when you look up and you see them above you and you see how fast they're going across the whole sky, Nimrod Paul just said it. It's offensive. It's because I'll just tell you why. For me, this is clear to me that God is in the heavens. There's more Starlink satellites right there. God's in the heavens, and let's go back to, whoops, I missed that. Okay, let's see. Oh, you know what? I kept that video playing of the dragon thing. I don't really care about it. I just wanted to show you that there's a dragon flying in heaven and that it's not an interpretation of Scripture. It's actually an observation of reality. Okay? I'm going to bring you over to my desktop in a minute once I get a verse up. We're going to go over the reason why if you see on the screen above my little logo there, you see that woman, and she's like saying, what? She's saying, did you forget about me? And I'm bringing you over to Revelation 12. We need to read this. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but here we go. All right. So this woman, oops, I'm sorry if I sounded funny there. I'm kind of talking into my mic weird. Okay, this woman that's above my Effed Up World logo, and by the way, subscribe if you're not. She is representing Virgo, the constellation Virgo. And I could show you specifically what that is, but it doesn't really matter. I think in the scriptures that this woman is New Jerusalem, like the holy city of God. So let's look at this verse. Let's see here. Do I need to zoom in, or you guys can see that, right? Okay, let's just read this. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So she was definitely in the sky, because stars, the moon was under her feet, and she was clothed with the sun. So it's definitely something up in the sky. That's simple. Okay, then he says in verse 3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. Let's just do this. Let's copy that. Or actually, you know what? We're just going to do red dragon. And search. It's a film. A novel. Lots of things that I'm not interested in. So none of those things are happening in heaven. So let's add SpaceX in the front of this. And guess what we're going to see on our screen? Remember what we were just watching? Right here. Do you remember this? Let's see if I can just find there. Remember that? That's the dragon that we were just watching relocate from port to port, right? SpaceX Red Dragon. This is the vehicle that they were going to use for the Red Dragon program, which was a Mars thing. So that's why, well, here, let's just look at one of these. Wikipedia. Oh, I thought it was going to bring us there. Here we go. Red Dragon was a 2011 to 2017 concept for using an uncrewed modified SpaceX Dragon 2, which is what we just watched, for low-cost Mars lander missions to be launched using Falcon Heavy rockets. It's just a space capsule, whatever you want to call it. But it's a red dragon. Okay, and I've had people tell me that's not a red dragon. I'm like, or a dragon, and I'm like, well, no, actually it is. I didn't name it. I didn't decide that it was a dragon. That I'm just observing that SpaceX has called it Dragon. That's what they named it. Let me show you. Okay. Dragon. Sending humans and cargo into space. 25 launches. 23 visits to the ISS. 9 reflown missions. Here it is. There's the trunk. And there's the capsule. I didn't make that up. I didn't make these graphics. I didn't launch the thing. Do you get what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with me, you guys. It's not an interpretation of anything. It's me pointing out that John, where are we? Revelation 12. Okay. The context of Revelation, let me do this. Let me open a duplicate here and go to Revelation 1. Because we have to know the context of this whole book. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. So this is why I think this is such important information, because Jesus showed us this. It's like he's giving us information that nobody else seems to understand or acknowledge, but there's many things that we can know about what's to come. I mean, what hasn't happened yet is also written in this book. So the things that we're watching now are written in this book, and also the things to come after. So what I'm saying is you can know what is happening tomorrow, not tomorrow, but I'm saying you can know what is going to come to pass. Because these words, this is the testimony of the King of Kings that made us and made everything. He created everything. He spoke it out of his mouth, and it manifests. That's how powerful his words are. That's why when he shows John a vision, he sent a special, like a specific reason for this angel to come down to John, who was exiled in the the Isle of Patmos. And he said, you got to write this down, what you see in the vision. And then it also says, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Okay, and John starts seeing this vision. And what does he see? He sees Jesus right away in the vision. I'll read that part. Let's see. Okay, so this is John to the 7 churches which are in Asia. Grace be unto you and peace. Okay, so he is writing the book. And from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness, and the first begotten of the dead, the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us, and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto God and his Father, to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. So then here we are, John's writing this. John's vision on Patmos. I, John, whom also your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was in the isle that is called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ. So I think this is so important just to make a note that this book is not just a book that John wrote. It's a book that was specifically delivered to the servants of God for the time we live in now, to show us what will happen before, now, and after. I think it's very important. So look what John says here. And And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were like white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death. So this is Jesus Jesus showed up to John in this vision, and this is what he says. Write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter. That's what this book is, you guys. It's the testimony of the Creator himself, who spoke everything into existence from the foundation of the world, and all the time that he wrote, or that he created for the world, because there's an ending to it. And at the ending to it, there's going to be a dragon flying up in the sky. It's very important. That's why he gave us this book, and that's why I want people to understand how important it is. I just wanted to read something here. Not that chapter. Chapter 3. Okay, where is it? This is my favorite. I just have to say, I always say this is one of my, but this is my favorite passage right here. Because I learned, over the last 5 years, I've learned things about myself and about just reality that are clearly true to me anyway. And it was like I was wrong about who I was and about all the security I felt and the things, the confidence that I had in myself and what I had knowledge about, and I felt very confident until he came in and showed me that there was a better way to understand things, and also a better way to be a human being, because I was living the way for myself, the way someone would live if they were self-centered, or whatever you want to call it, like focused on me and my success and what I could do, right? Well, he said this to me just as I'm going to read it to you right now. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold or hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. I think that just means he would rather that we were cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goods, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. So that's kind of like offensive, right? For someone to tell you that. That's what he's saying to us. He's saying, because we say that we're rich and we increased with goods and we don't need anything, but we don't know that we're wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. I just think that's very important, even though it's offensive, because he offers us the answer that makes us not be those things. He says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. This verse right here probably changed my life more than any verse in the Bible. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. This is Jesus saying this to everyone who reads it or hears it. If any man hear my voice, I always do that. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. Right on, Captain Caveman says, can't sit with Lucifer and Yahweh. You got to choose one. And it's so important that Isaiah wrote about Lucifer's intention of his heart. And it was to ascend up to heaven and put his throne up there. What do you think the space station is? Remember when Jesus said he knew where Satan's seat was? I think we do too, guys. We just watched Satan hop from one port to another. It's kind of weird to think that way, but it's what is in front of us. It's happening. Welcome, Barry Ross. Good to see you. And Veronica, no, did I already say hi? I'm not sure. Nimrod, Paul. Good to see all you guys. So, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches, right? So I think one of the most important things to understand in the book of Revelation is that it's actually the testimony of all testimonies. It's Jesus from heaven. He's in heaven. He sent this specific angel down to John to show John the end of the world. And he didn't only do this with John. He did this with Daniel. He gave Daniel dreams or visions, dream visions, I guess. I don't know what you call it specifically, but Daniel saw these same things happening. He saw the stars falling to the ground, and he saw a little horn fly. He said it was a he-goat, and it had a notable horn between his eyes. And let me just remind you of this. I'm not saying that's a he-goat. I'm saying that for a person 4,000 years ago, that might be a he-goat with a notable horn between its eyes. Because the context that Daniel used it, he said that it was moving over the face of the earth without touching the ground. So it was flying, and it came to this ram, which is not, I don't think it's an animal ram. It's the word ram in Hebrew is A-Y-I-L, and yeah, it can be an animal. But another use for that word is like in Solomon's temple, the entryway for the temple. That word is used for the columns or the structural part of the entrance. The strength of it. And it's used as a post or a pilaster or a lintel, a long straight thing that was strong. A tree, sometimes it could be used for a tree. But so he sees this he-goat, and it pulls this ram up to the host of heaven, all the way up to the stars. You guys, this is what we're watching when we see one of these launch. A big, tall rocket lifts this little dragon thing into orbit, which is hell. That's all they're doing. They're going to hell. Oh, Barry Ross says, anyone been hearing about 3DOD? Yeah, I had never heard about it in the book of Revelation or anything like that, though. So be careful. I know there's a lot of people making their own prophecies, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think, like Scott earlier had mentioned, his girl had a dream, and the things she saw in the dream were quite scary or whatever, but they were things that are mentioned in the Bible. that happen at the end. Well, it also says in the Bible that God will pour his Spirit out in the last days. He'll pour his Spirit out upon all flesh. And sons and daughters will be having dreams and visions and prophesying. So, hello from Happy Valley, Tennessee. Hello, Emma Davis. Good to see you. Minnesota right here. That's where I'm at. North of Minneapolis. But let's see here. So, the 3 days of darkness thing, I wouldn't listen to people's prophecies because I think that the prophecy, like we were talking about the book of Revelation here, I think that prophecy is much more reliable than anything that any man could ever say. That's my take on it. But so Revelation 12 verse 3, there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. Look what it says here. His tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. Let me grab an image just to show you something. I try to make little images or something that I can usually access somewhat quickly to show, because it is really simple, some of these things that I'm pointing out. So this is this image coming up here. This is the rocket that lifts Dragon into orbit. That's two of them landing. They just come out right out of the sky. Fire coming out of the sky, down from heaven on the earth. That's also in the Bible in Revelation 13. John saw a beast coming up out of the earth, and then he saw it make fire come down from heaven on the earth. So he saw it come back down, making fire come down. Flint, Michigan for Tony's Coffee House. So there's what it looks like when fire's coming down from the sky. And John already saw this, so I did not Captain Caveman. I didn't check it out. I did check. I was looking at my emails, and I can't believe YouTube. Like, trust me, if you're a YouTuber, if you have a channel, or if you have a channel like mine where you have 3,500 public videos or whatever, there's just like a worry in the back of my mind all the time that YouTube is striking me or whatever. So every time I get an email from YouTube, I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to see an email from YouTube. And they just keep sending these, like, meaningless ones where they're not striking me. They're not saying anything bad. They're like, YouTube creators. Every time I see an email from YouTube, I don't want to see it. But, so I will check it out, though, for sure. Nimrod Paul says, Elon must have permission from his God to put that stuff in the sky. I believe if any of us shot crap up there, we'd be arrested ASAP. Oh, maybe you mean, or his God? I guess who would his God be? He just has permission from the FAA. That's about all you need. But in order to do it, it's a monumental task that God placed far away from men to be able to do that. So it would take us the full capacity of everything we could do in order to go up there. Scott Studo says Elon Musk is the devil. You know what? I think he works for the devil, but he doesn't know it. He thinks he's doing something good for the world, but that's the problem with, if we don't put our faith in Jesus. Look at what they want to do. They're trying to go up into heaven, which is exactly what Lucifer said he's going to do. So the way I look at it, you either have a father of lies and you want to ascend into heaven like the Tower of Babel people, like King Nimrod, Apollyon. So it's either that or you believe in the one that's coming on the clouds to destroy all of that. I'd rather believe in the kingdom that's eternal instead of the one that's going to fade away and be burned with fervent heat. There's only two choices to make as far as when it comes to putting faith somewhere. I learned that my whole life I was trained and brainwashed into putting my faith in the idea that God isn't in the sky and that there's planets there to go to and that there's a solar system in a vast universe. None of that's true. The solar system doesn't exist. That's only existing on paper. The sun exists and the stars exist and the planets exist, whatever, but they're not places. They're lights. So, what was I going to show you? Oh, one more of these things that I was going to show you. So, here's what I see happening. There's that woman clothed with the sun. Oh, that's not the right one. There's a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. And then there's a red dragon. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to show you. Okay, you can still see this screen. Right here, though, in verse 3, I'll come back to what I was doing there in a minute. So this other wonder, he sees the great red dragon, and the dragon's tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. I think that applies to real things in the world today. Real things happening. People being born again of the Spirit of God and not of what we're all born of, the flesh. Because what I'm saying is there's two worlds to live in. We all live in this world. I'm not saying that we don't. I'm saying spiritually, in our belief, in what we believe, if you believe you're living on a sphere that's flying through space at 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, I just have to point out that you're not paying attention to the world you live in. Because the world you live in is still and not moving. And it's like solid ground that we've always counted on. We build our houses on it. It's not moving. And I will never stop talking about how Earth is stationary. Because every bone in your body for your whole life knows that the Earth is stationary. Your car, when it drives, it knows the Earth is stationary. When a train is moving and the smoke or the puff of smoke coming out of the train just stays in the same spot and goes up. These kinds of things make it quite obvious that the Earth isn't moving. And what does the sun do? The sun moves over our heads every day. We're not moving around the sun. So I'm not trying to tease anyone. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to point out the obvious. We've all been believing a lie. We've been raised believing a lie, and our parents have been raised believing a lie, and now there's a reason why it's all being brought to the front page. That's why people are talking about things like flat Earth and things like space is a lie. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's see here. Look at verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Let me see if I can show you a picture of that. Let's see. I don't have one. Maybe a video then. Let's see here. I like to be, when I'm talking about something, I like to do two things. I like to get the words from the Bible that I'm talking about or whatever, like this. But I also like to do a lot of visual, images and videos, because that's how I understand, that's how I see some of these things happening. When I see it says war in heaven, Michael and his angels were fighting against the dragon, I don't literally see angels fighting, or do we? Let me find a video. I guess what I'm saying is, what would it look like if angels were fighting with a dragon? What would that look like visually? And I'm looking for a video. Sorry, guys. Because I think visually we can actually know exactly what it looks like. Because there is a dragon flying up there. Now, we might not be able to see Michael, but it doesn't say what Michael will look like. It just says, John's just telling us what he saw in the vision. And he saw war in heaven. So that's up in the sky. He saw war. You know, that's John's testimony. And it was shown to him from an angel that Jesus sent to him. Plus, Jesus showed up in the vision and told him to write it down. Like, it's pretty simple. It's like, I know a lot of people are like, they think, I need someone to teach me about the Bible. No, you don't. Jesus is the only one that's going to teach you about the Bible. And often you'll hang out in places like here or other channels that are talking or searching or studying the Bible. Because that's all anybody's doing is learning from the Holy Spirit. Nobody has all this knowledge. It comes from God. It just so happens that he is showing people things that we've never seen, telling us things we've never heard. And it's our choice whether we want to believe the things that he says in this testimony that he gave to John to write down. I mean, John said there was war in heaven. And I'm still looking for the image. I'm so bad at this. Oh, I know where it is. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. This is a dragon. Okay, ready? Let's see here. This is a dragon. And there's a dragon right there in the sky. And it's separating from the Falcon 9 right now. How do we know what angels fighting in the sky looks like? Well, maybe it's on your screen. If you wait a minute, look at the one on the right. That's the Falcon 9 rocket. Remember it said he cast down the stars to the ground with his tail? That would be his tail right there. That's the dragon right there. So the one that is going up still, that seems a lot like Lucifer to me. I will ascend into heaven. That's what Lucifer said. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. And then look what it says, or I'll just read it. So it says, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. So something's going to change, you guys. Hey, thanks, Captain Caveman. Good to see you, and thank you. It's always great to have you. So it says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. So what would that look like? I'll show you. I'll show you a video of what it will look like. Or what it already does look like, and already has looked like. This is why I'm saying it's not something we should interpret. It's something that we just have to acknowledge and observe. Because here, let's do this.
In case if you're just joining us, you can see on your screen there, Dragon has just re-entered the Earth's atmosphere after departing from the International Space Station. We have a gorgeous shot of 4 healthy parachutes deployed and slowing the vehicle down.
Okay, so did you hear what she just said? Well, listen to this. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth. Let me play what she just said again. So it said the dragon was cast out into the earth.
In case if you're just joining us, you can see on your screen there, Dragon has just re-entered the Earth's atmosphere after departing from the International Space Station.
So it went from the space station, which is out of the Earth. It's not in the Earth. And it went from there into the Earth. So that's just what it's saying. It says he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And here's the part that I kind of like, I'm so excited for this. Verse 10, and I heard a loud voice in heaven, or saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time. By the way, this is quite convenient that we're reading this right now. Let me show you something else. Okay, I am always talking about the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, right? Well, John was told to measure it, so let's read about that. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. So remember the 42 months. And it says, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Okay, that is 1,260 days that they're going to be prophesying, okay? Well, it was, let's just look at this. This is interesting. Okay, dates plus days. We're going to go here, but first I'm sorry, you guys can't see the desktop. My bad. Okay, it doesn't matter though. Let's see. I lost my train of thought where I was going. Oh, Daniel chapter 12. Because I just want to show you, there's like, I don't know if these, are the things that we're watching are specifically certain things that that these prophets saw concerning how many days they mentioned. They mentioned certain numbers of time, like the 42 months and the 1,260 days. Well, look what it says. Oh, I gotta go. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Computer's a little slow. Okay. I'm just going to read this. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. This is why I'm going to go back here real quick. I just want you guys to remember there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. So I think that's what we're going to read about in Daniel 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. That'll be creepy, guys. Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, this is interesting here. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But then it says, But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the river, or waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? So remember in Revelation we were reading about 42 months that the Gentiles would tread New Jerusalem, which is in the sky. They would tread it underfoot. I think that's what we're watching right now. And also it said in Revelation 11 that there would be two witnesses that were prophesying for 1,260 days. So we'll go to the dates plus days things after we read a little bit here. Actually, we'll do it right now, okay? So the day that we saw that woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, if you guys don't remember, whoops, I'm going to just put the date in here. If you don't remember, it was back in 2017. And it was like, I guess I have to write it in. Oh, there we go. September 23rd, 2017. That was the day that the constellation Virgo had the moon. She had the moon under her feet, and it's something that with the sky things are very precise, and how they move, everything lined up just like that. And one of my friends, Adam Fink from Parable of the Vineyard, if you want to do, maybe somebody could even find this video and put it in the chat. I think it was called Revelation 12 Sign in 5 minutes. And he made a good video that gives very clear reason in the video. It explains it very well, why people would consider that day to be something special or a sign in the heavens. So, nevertheless, 9/23/2017. And the world was aware of this. If you go to Google, it was being searched that whole year. People were saying Revelation 12 sign. And if you go to, what is it called? Google, I can't remember what it was. Like where they have search history and things like that. I can't remember. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so let's just have some fun here. 1,260 days from that sign was March 6th, 2021. Okay? So that was just this month at the beginning, or I guess it's April now. Sorry, I'm way behind. That was last month. Okay? But here's why we're on this dates plus days thing. Let's read the rest of Daniel 12. Okay, where were we? Okay, we'll just start in verse 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Kind of like me right now, guys. I don't understand it, but there's a reason why it's written in here, so that's why I want to understand it. It says, and I think we will understand, or I think that's why it's written in here. Okay, sorry. But I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified. Remember what we were reading in Revelation 3 about when he was saying that he'll spew us out of our mouth for being lukewarm? And he said that because we say that we don't need anything and we're rich and we have, we've got this, in my own words, we've got, thank you, Doc Michael. That's, I like Parable of the Vineyard. Okay, I'm just going to keep reading. Many shall be purified and made white and tried. So if you are people that are dealing with things that you haven't dealt with your whole life, probably because of what you believe or because of what you tell others about what you believe, that could be called being tried. And maybe that's part of being made white, made purified. Okay, but it says, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. But the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So I'm just putting numbers out there. I'm not trying to predict anything or something. I'm showing you what goes through my head when I'm reading these verses. So what if we put in 1,290 days? I think it's today, you guys. April 5th. That is actually today. These are interesting things, whether or not they mean anything. I don't think anybody could prove anything about these things. But we just had a video where there was a dragon flying in the firmament from one port to another. So that's the significance of this video, and that's why I'm kind of going over this. But not only that, let's finish reading Daniel, because there's another thing mentioned. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,300, to the 1,305 and 30 days. So that would be 1,335, right? And he says, but go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. So Daniel's going to be standing in his lot at the end of days. You know what that means to me? Maybe he's one of those two witnesses. Because he did witness the end of the world in dream visions. And then, well, John, who saw the whole vision of the end of the world, maybe he's the other witness. Or maybe, we don't know. We don't know. All I'm saying is that I think it's something that there's two prophets, or maybe more. Maybe it's something that I don't understand. Maybe it's a lot of them, because in 2nd Esdras it actually says that he will send the people that live at the end. He'll send them, and then it names like all the prophets. And actually, let's go look at that. It's let's see, where is it? I'm not going to try to search it out right now. It's in 2nd Esdras, though. It says, I will send you... Oh, wait. I think I have a weird kind of photographic memory for books, so to find things in books. And I actually have a paper copy. I should be able to find it in here really quick, because I have it marked on the page. Yeah, right here. This is in chapter 1 of 2nd Esdras, verse 38, the very last verse in the first book of... the very last two verses in the first chapter of 2nd Esdras. It says, now, Father, look with pride and see the people coming from the east. I will give them authority together with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Elijah, Enoch, Zechariah, Hosea, Amos, Joel, Micah, Obadiah, Zephaniah, Nahum, Jonah, Malachi, Habakkuk, and 12 angels carrying flowers. And in another version it says, now, Father, look to pride and see the people come from the east. I will send them, Abraham. And so those prophets are I believe they're going to be prophesying in the spirit or whatever. I don't know how. I'm not trying to be specific like I know all how that works. I'm just saying that I think their words are coming to life right now. Right now. let's see here. Okay, so that's, I love Daniel 12. And actually, it's, oh, that's what I was going to do. I was just going to, just for fun, 1335. That is May 20th. Who knows? Interesting. But, so let's do this. Let's go. Wait a minute. I think that was all I had to show you, really. Oh, wait. Maybe I'll just... Oh, is that the right video? I have... Okay, we're gonna finish off with, I was in a press conference with two of my fellow astronauts back in, I think it was like 69 or 1969. Here, I'll just play that, and then I'm going to head out, and thank you guys for hanging. I just wanted to try again, as much as I can, to point out that we are observing the things that John observed in his vision in the book of Revelation. It's very cool. Very important. And it's like, I honestly feel very privileged to be able to receive the information that was written down thousands of years ago that's coming to pass now. So, but to end this on a fun, kind of more fun note, here we go. Buzz, are they gonna buy this? Are they? Ooh, I sure hope so. Here we go. Oh boy. What did we do? Buzz, why'd you wear that blue suit? Thing is terrible. What are we here for again? Who the heck are you? Where am I? Why are they taking our picture? What the heck is going on here? Buzz, why the blue suit? Buzz, what are we even doing here? Do you know Pinhead? They sure took a lot of pictures. Buzz, what is up with the blue suit, dude? Did you say we went to the moon? Yeah.